The mind is the cause of all your victories and your defeats. You are a product of your thoughts. Do not blame external conditions and persons for your misfortunes. You are responsible for what you are, and you have it within your power to change your destiny. Sorrow is disease. Joy is a healthy mind. Pride is a disease. Humility is the state of a healthy mind. The feeling, I am this mortal being, is the cause of all diseases, and the experience, I am the immortal self, is real joy and health to the mind and spirit. So may you all shine with healthy minds, healthy spirit. It's best to investigate the nature of the mind, noting the nature of its acts and operations. This is the sole cause of all human suffering. The mind delights in thoughts of sense objects. It then assimilates the nature of these objects, and then assumes the form of these objects at a future birth. Sages of holy Adhyatma Yoga all acknowledge the mind to be, in essence, Brahman himself. Know that this whole universe is the body of God. The whole world is God. This is not a world of dead matter, but living presence. It is a manifestation of divine spirit. All through the ages it has been a false belief that the spiritual world and the material world are separate. Spirit and matter are neither different nor separate. Matter is spirit as cognized through the senses. Matter is spirit in manifestation. It's spirit in motion. It's the power of God. Matter is the dynamic aspect of God. The whole world is a manifestation of Brahman or the Absolute. This world is just a shadow of Brahman. It's the overflow of the bliss of Brahman. It's a reflection of God, a manifestation of God. Realize these truths and be free. One soul abides in all. One humanity. One Atmahood. None are high, none are low. All are equal. Vain are the distinctions. Man-made barriers should be ruthlessly broken down. Only then will we have peace on earth. There is any one caste, the caste of humanity. There is any one religion, the religion of love. There is any one commandment, the commandment of truthfulness. One law, the law of cause and effect. One God, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. There is only one language, the language of the heart, the language of silence. All life is one. The world is one home. All beings are members of the one family. The whole of creation is an organic whole, and no man is separate from that whole. And miserable is that man who tries to separate himself, which is death. Unity is life. So develop cosmic love, love all, include all, embrace all. Recognize the good in all. Break down all the barriers, racial, religious, and all those natural prejudices that separate man from man. Behold the Atma in all, the immortal essence in all. Protect all animals. Hold all life as sacred. And then this whole universe would be a paradise of beauty. It would be a heaven of peace and tranquility. And when you recognize that the one Atma is in all beings, how can you hate anyone? How can you exploit anyone? How can you sneer and frown at anyone? How can you be intolerant? Isn't this the height of your folly? Isn't this the height of your ignorance? Live as one big family. Champion this ideal of one humanity. Live in peace in one world, knowing that we are all children of God. Feel this, realize this, and you'll be happy forever. Behold the Atma in all, the one in all, the all in one. Feel, I am that. I am the one in all. I am all in one. Feel this. The whole world is my body. Feel, I suffer and enjoy through all bodies. I work through all hands. I see through all eyes. I hear through all ears. Repeat this formula daily, many times through the day. Repeat God's name. It doesn't matter where you are. Repeat his name. And by this constant practice, you will be led well on the way to where the sun does not shine, the wind does not blow, the moon does not shed its rays, the stars do not twinkle, where fire does not burn, where death does not enter, where miseries have no access. This is the supreme abode. It's the bliss of existence, supreme bliss, the peaceful, the eternal, the ever-auspicious, the adored of all the divinities, the goal of all the yogis. Attaining that, they do not come back to this world and this world's process. Sages of holy Adhyatma Yoga all acknowledge the mind to be, in essence, Brahman himself. And they all preach peace and self-control, contentment, as the only means of liberation. So those disciples dear to their Guru who wish to taste of the unadulterated bliss of the self should ever keep the mind in happy thought by singing God's glories, chanting his name. Be contented and ever dwell in pure conduct, and thus with the mind released from the sphere of the phenomenal earth, so it attains happiness and tastes of the bliss of the self. The wise look upon the phenomenal world as the great illusion stretched out to entrap the heedless soul. The wise call our consciousness of the world a mere thought, a magical scene, an appearance of ignorance, the cause and effect of all our actions. Know that it's the impure mind that creates the world, and the only way to overcome the delusion is to cleanse the mind of its stain. So the abstract meditation of the thoughtful yogi devoted to holy Adhyatma Yoga weakens all external impressions, and by disassociating the soul with all external objects, it becomes sedate and steadfast in the self alone. Then it is that it pays no attention to inner or outer reflection. It becomes insensible to pleasure and pain, and ever enjoys the bliss of the self. But that man whose mind is full of desires for temporal objects, his mind is like a clear firmament obscured by clouds. Such a soul suffers much misery through many, many lifetimes, until at last it comes to its senses and strives for higher knowledge. And then, as an imaginary fear of a tiger in a forest is set at rest, looking deeper, he finds there's no bondage in the world. This is the world and this is myself is all an illusion. All is Brahman, all is one. And those who wish to enjoy carnal pleasures should first investigate these evil inclinations, just as you do in pulling a poisonous plant from the ground. Both the ignorant and the wise, who wish to overcome their foe, must first subdue the inner enemy of the heart and mind and members of the body. The most prosperous of men are those who have become the master of the mind instead of being mastered by it. I rever those pure and holy souls who have quelled the huge and crooked serpent of the mind that dwells in the cave of the heart. They are happy souls, ever enjoying the serenity of the self, and there's no king of this earthly capital as happy as he who has become the master of the city of the body. It's natural for man to suffer the miseries of this dark and dismal world, just as a bird falls into the ocean. But you must raise the self by the self from the mud puddle of the world and realize that God is the center of the universe. He's the guide of the lost, the lighter of the light. His supreme perfection, absolute goodness. O Lord, thou art mind of my mind, soul of my soul, prana of my prana, life of my life. Thou art my inner self. This whole creation is an absolute mystery, and the key to the mystery is hidden. But once you start to do regular and sincere sadhana, the mystery is no longer. A mystery of mystery is no longer a mystery. All fears, all doubts are dissolved. God creates the world and the gods, and all souls evolve from him, subject to the operation of karma. This whole universe is the glory of God. He creates, he preserves, he destroys, just as the spider brings forth its threads and then withdraws them into itself. God assumes all forms. He is the Lord of the universe and the controller of nature. He exists beyond the stars and the moon, and yet they shine because he shines. He exists in the oil in seed, in the fire in wood, in the butter in milk. Just as you have to make effort to get the butter from the milk by setting it into curd and then churning it into butter, so you have to make effort to realize God. You have to go beyond all names and forms through purification and japa on the holy name. So the remedy for the disease of the heart is within everyone's reach. It's only by exerting your consciousness and diligently relinquishing all desires that you can become the master of the mind. The mind has to be treated carefully by right reasoning, by the precepts of the Holy Scriptures, and by the company of holy ones. Engage your mind in works of good, guided by the light of your understanding. Occupying your soul in meditation on God, guided by the divine light. The renunciation of a highly desirable object is very easy for one who is thus surrendered to the divine will. First, unite yourself with your highest intellectual or abstract thought, together with your highest spiritual aspiration, and thus being the master of the mind, contemplate the divine spirit. It's only by exertion and fixed attention that the errors of the mind can be corrected. A calm mind is free of all anxieties, and one who has attained to this state, he cares not a fig for the subjugation of the world. Know that nothing is born or dies at any time. It's the mind that conceives of births and deaths, and its migration into other bodies and other worlds. And only the mind can subdue the mind. Or who could subdue a king, unless he be a king himself? So think well of what I say to you. Since this world is just a passing parade, passing on to death and decay, how can you put your faith in it? And what constitutes pleasure and pain? For what is pain to one is pleasure to another, and what is pleasure to one is pain to another. Man makes much of his progress in this world, but there's no progress in the decaying world. It's a tempting dish. It's magical. It's an enchanted scene. It's like a sugar-coated pill. It's full of bitter gall within. It's like an extinguished lamp. Its flame is lost, fled, we know not where. Try to take hold of it and you have nothing. It's as intangible as mist. Know God. Serve those that speak of him to you, and you will know God. Grasp the opportunity of satsang and the proximity of a teacher, and you will know God. Know that this world is just a network of your own imaginations, and it's represented by a presentation of error and ignorance that disappears in the light of true knowledge. It's the inward certitude of the illusoriness of the world that is termed perfection of knowledge. And equally, it's the knowledge of all things seen that is delusion of the mind. Therefore, it is right for us to rub these impressions from our mind diligently, ere they be the cause of our future birth. So the detached soul that remains sedate and steadfast in its inner consciousness gradually attains knowledge and is freed from the doom of future birth. But whenever the conscious soul entertains the idea of a form, the same becomes the seed of its rebirth or its future incarnation. So the Bhagavad Gita teaches us that for the future welfare of the soul, it must ever be steeped in righteousness. The soul brings forth itself and falls into the deception of its own choice. It then loses all sort of its freedom by its subjection to worldly life. While ever the soul cherishes the idea of a form, so the same it assumes unto itself. And while ever it cherishes a fondness for that form, it cannot return to its lost state of purity. That's why it tells us in the scriptures that while ever there is the least attachment for the things of this world, you cannot have the highest knowledge. If you must love a form, then love the form of an avatar of God, for you truly will become what you love and serve sincerely. Feel your soul to be as the one soul that is said to be diffused over the whole universe, and say, what is there except this? Live a life of prayer, meditation, and selfless service. And by the sheer force of your purity, you will be then ready to tread the path of holy Adhyatma Yoga, where you will know in all truth that God is light, that God is power, that God is bliss, that God is love. He is immanent and transcending, beginningless and endless, supreme perfection, absolute goodness. Within you is the hidden God. Within you is the immortal soul. Die to live. Slay that self-arrogating little I. Live the divine life. Turn the gaze within and drink the nectar of immortality. Taste of the nectar of Atma. Wealth cannot give you this happiness. Wealth besets evil. It's the source of all misery. It passes from one man to another. So seek to taste the bliss of the self. The body is a great burden. Death is ever there waiting to devour it. Anger is the enemy of peace. Egoism is the cause of your bondage. Get rid of egoism, get rid of desire, and then you'll know that heaven sings in my body, in my heart, in my strivings. Heaven sings in my song and has found fulfillment in my life. But to realize these truths, one has to have great love and longing for God, And without this love and longing for God, you cannot realize him. You have to completely get rid of all desire for the world. Devotion is said to be green until it develops into such ecstatic love for God. And a man of green bhakti, he cannot assimilate spiritual instructions. It's only when the bhakti is ripe that he comes closer to God. And then he has no attachment for his family or for his possessions. He looks upon his family with compassion. He looks after them just the same. He does his duty, but to him the world is a strange place. He knows that Brahman alone is real. He feels in perfect awareness and pure consciousness. I am the knower of oneness. King of kings, Lord of lords, all are one. Brahman alone is real. The whole world is my body. I suffer and enjoy through all bodies. I work through all hands. I see through all eyes. I hear through all ears. All is good. All is one. All is sacred. I am all. I am all in all. I am thy immortal self in all. I am that I am. Maya cannot hurt me now. I know her ways. I know her tricks. She cannot hurt me now. Man wastes his precious life. He never stops to think, where did I come from? Where am I going? He simply eats, drinks, marries, has children, and then waits for death to put an end to the misery of his existence. Is this the goal of life? No, the goal of life is to bathe in an ocean of bliss in meditation, and then swim in an ocean of bliss in every part of your daily life. Bliss is your inner self. The central fact of man's being is his inherent divinity. Man's essential nature is divine, but awareness of this has been lost through his animal propensities. But transcending the body, he becomes one with Brahman or the Absolute. Brahman or the Absolute is the fullest reality. It's the completest consciousness. It's that beyond which there is nothing. It's that, the Atma, the common essence in all beings. In the king, the beggar, the labourer, the prostitute, the preacher, the cat, the rat, the dog. This Atma is in all things. And a very wealthy man, he may own a plane, a train, or a yacht for his own selfish aims, but he can never be the sole possessor of the Atma. The Atma is common in all things, and it can never be anyone's sole registered property. The Atma is the one amidst the many. It's the one constant amidst all the forms that come and go. It's the conscious reality in all conscious beings. I say all conscious beings because there are some people that are walking around unconscious. They're dead, though appearing to be alive. Unconscious matter, where that conscious reality isn't really manifesting yet. Joy, peace, bliss, God, perfection, immortality, they're all one. The very nature of Atma is bliss. One who has realized his Atma, his bliss is unending because he is ever united with the infinite in perfect understanding. Before Abraham was, I am. My Father and I are one. And the goal of life is God, peace, perfection, immortality. And the nearer you come to this truth, so the happier you will be. Truth is eternal, immortal, infinite. It's light, joy, beauty, peace, bliss. Truth endureth forever. Nothing can taint truth. It dwells in the fullness of your heart. Realize this truth. Enjoy the bliss of the self. Now you can't get this bliss from the finite. This bliss can be attained from the infinite self only. And one who has realized the self He has eternal peace, everlasting bliss. He drinks the bliss of Satchitananda, existence, knowledge, bliss absolute. And let nothing deter you from realizing this truth. Let nothing stop in your way, because the ignorant who have not realized can be swept through the current of reincarnation through thousands of lives. You can read classics on philosophy and religion. You can travel the world delivering lectures. You can stand on your head for hours and hours, do pranaramas for years and years. But without knowledge of the self, you can never be free. The unity of the self, the unity of existence, is reality that leads to liberation. Liberation is breaking down of all the barriers that constitute separate life. It's a state of pure consciousness. Brahman is pure consciousness. Pure consciousness is the absolute, or Brahman. There's no thinking in pure consciousness. It's hard to perceive. It's neither physical nor mental consciousness. There's no play of the senses here. There's no perception here. It's an ocean of pure wisdom, where there's neither seer nor knower, just a thing in itself, pure self-awareness. The ego sense is completely dead, and the Brahmic consciousness reigns supreme in its pristine glory. Brahman is an ocean of pure consciousness, without shore or surface. He is the seer, the knower, and always the witnessing subject. There's no other seer but he. There's no other hearer but he. There's no other thinker but he. He is the seer behind the eyes. He is the hearer behind the ears. He is the thinker behind the mind.